When Victor found a quiet compartment, he hurried inside to take up his seat and was relieved to find a couple with a kid in front of them. He settled down on the seat and put his daughter on the adjacent seat while she was still fast asleep. He looked at his daughter's face and sighed in relief. Was there really no danger now? But before we start our story, smash the like button, make sure to subscribe and hit the notifications bell so you won't miss any new stories. As it was already a stressful night, Victor's eyes were closing in between as he was already tired. He couldn't catch any sleep last night and wanted to doze up for a while. But he tried to be awake as he didn't want to jeopardize his daughter's security at any cost. He was so tired that he dozed off while watching his daughter. He didn't know how much he had slept and for how long, but he was feeling really relaxed. He opened his eyes and looked beside him, and what he saw took his breath away. His daughter was missing. He looked around the compartment, but there was no sign of her. To his surprise, the family which was sitting there was also gone. Where was his daughter? He searched everywhere possible for his daughter, but there was no sign of her anywhere. Tears came out of his eyes. Suddenly the phone rang from his pocket, and it was his wife's call. He didn't have the courage to pick up the phone and tell her what had happened. He fiddle-footed around the station, but there was no sign of his daughter anywhere. His wife was calling him constantly, but he had no courage to answer the call, so he kept avoiding it. Then suddenly he wiped the tears off his face and raced towards the station to ask for help. Would it help him find his daughter? As he tried to enter the office, the guard stood in front of him and stopped him from going further. When they inquired why he wanted to go in, no words came out of his mouth. He was numb and unable to move. When the guards asked him again, he told them about his missing daughter and asked them to help him in finding her. He asked the station master to announce the name of his daughter on the mic, so that if she had gotten off from some other gate, he could still reach her. But as the station master announced her name along with the station's name, Victor was again taken aback as he came to know that he had gotten off at some other station. Now he was really hopeless and blamed himself for the carelessness that he had shown. He didn't have any courage left to call his wife and tell what had happened, but he had no other choice too. So he took the train to his hometown and called the police to inform about the same. When he reached home, he was devastated. As he rang the bell, his wife opened the door and was relieved to find him safe and sound. When she didn't see her daughter, she immediately asked for her. Victor was quiet for a while. This made his wife really anxious, and she went outside to search for her daughter. She became anxious when she couldn't find her and went inside to ask her husband. As she entered the room, she saw him sobbing with his hands over his face. She ran towards him to ask what had happened and where was her daughter. Victor couldn't look straight into her eyes as he was feeling guilty. When she asked again, he had no choice but to tell her that someone had taken her while he dozed off. His wife was aghast when she heard this and was unable to control her tears. Victor consoled his wife and told her everything about the incident and the police complaint. Without wasting any more time, they reached the police station. Soon they reached the station and gave the details of his daughter along with her photo. The police assured the couple that they would tell him as soon as they get a lead and asked them to relax and trust the police. While the police started looking for the little girl, the parents too tried to search their daughter and had many sleepless nights. They checked water wells, shops, deserted houses, and every other place they could think of. Victor and Lyudmila went street to street in order to find her, but everything went in vain. But they didn't let their spirits low and continued to search along with the police and didn't end their search for years. The police closed their file after certain attempts, but how would they? After all, they were her parents. Would they be able to find her? While the police were still searching for the little girl vigorously, they doubted on everyone from their neighbors to relatives. The things went out of control when the police started to put the parents of the little girl in the witness box. They had to undergo several lie detector tests, but they cleared them all because obviously how could they had even thought of harming her when they had forgotten about their food and sleep and searched for her in every nook and corner. It had been 2 years, and they didn't have any clue about their daughter. Victor used to blame himself as he used to think that it was his mistake that he dozed off, and today, because of him, his daughter was not with him. It was just another day in the life of the couple, and had been years since they had lost their daughter and moved to another city. But they couldn't forget her, and how could they? She was their beloved daughter. Would their prayers be answered, and that too after so many years? It was midday and they were doing their daily chores when they received a phone call from the police station. Why would the police be calling them? A woman on the line explained that a girl had inquired about them, claiming to be their daughter. The family was stunned. Years had passed, but thoughts of Yulia had never faded. Yulia's elder sister, Nadia, called the number the officer provided. Her mind raced with what to say, but the moment she heard the voice on the other end, her thoughts melted away. It was her. Overwhelmed, Nadia said, "Hello, my name is Nadia. I'm your big sister." Yulia broke down, recognizing the voice instantly. Nadia then handed the phone to their mother. Though time had passed and voices had matured, a mother's instinct knew it was her daughter. After the call, emotions surged. Joy, guilt, confusion. Their only thought now was to bring Yulia home, but questions flooded in. Where had she been all these years? What had happened that day? Was she truly their lost child? Because the police were involved, a formal investigation was required before any reunion. The next day, they all gathered at the police station for a DNA test. Once results confirmed the match, doubts lifted. But the biggest question remained: what really happened that day? Once the tests were over, the family sat together to hear Yulia's story. She sat quietly, eyes fixed ahead, as fragments of memory returned. She remembered sitting in the train after her father had fallen asleep, watching the sunset when a man nearby struck up a friendly conversation. He seemed trustworthy, older, gentle. His wife and son joined in, and she welcomed the company. Then came the offer. As the train stopped, they invited her to step off and view the sunset up close. She refused, wary that the train might leave, but they insisted it would stay for an hour, convincing her it was safe. She followed. Moments later, while admiring the view, she turned to thank them, only to be met with a cloth pressed over her mouth. Darkness followed. She faintly recalled the train starting as her father slept inside and tried to scream, but nothing came out. She was gone. She regained consciousness on another train, overhearing conversations. They weren't a family at all. They were fugitives, possibly criminals. The son was just another accomplice. For days, perhaps weeks, she was kept weak with starvation and injected substances. Her memories blurred, her body weakened, and they moved constantly from one hidden location to another. Eventually, she was abandoned, left alone at a train station platform. She recalled sitting by the tracks, lifeless and invisible. People walked past without noticing. She wanted to cry, but even her tears seemed gone, withered by the drugs and the trauma. She sat helpless, exhausted, starving. Just when hope had faded, station police noticed her. They took her in, fed her, and let her rest. When she regained some strength and was finally able to speak, they began asking about her past. They told her she was at the local police station in Ryazan, nearly 500 miles from her real home. In 1999, when she was taken from her father, Belarus and Russia shared open borders. Crossing without a passport was legal, so her abductors had no trouble moving her unnoticed. Tighter laws might have prevented her suffering. The Ryazan police couldn't leave a 4-year-old alone in the city. They noted her Belarusian accent, but only searched locally in Russia. No alerts were issued across the border, and the search eventually ended in failure. With no leads, they placed her in a local orphanage. There, Yulia withdrew, silent, weak, refusing food. Some days she cried until sleep took her. Though her parents were alive, she remained lost to them. Not long after, she was adopted by a kind Russian family. With her 2 new brothers and supportive parents, she slowly recovered. Joy returned. She became cheerful again, adored by all, just as she had been by her real family. Yulia grew into a confident and beautiful woman. Officially known as Yulia Gorina, she turned heads wherever she went. But her heart belonged to Ilya Krukov, a man 7 years her senior, whose compassion drew her in. Though she loved her new family deeply, she never forgot her roots. Out of respect, she kept her search quiet, but never stopped hoping to find her biological family. One day, she confided in Ilya. Over lunch, she told him about her separation from her father, her life in the orphanage, and her adoption. She braced herself for judgment, but found only unwavering support. Ilya immediately began helping. After many dead ends, he found a breakthrough: a decades-old newspaper article about a missing girl. The photo and story matched Yulia perfectly. Tears welled up as she confirmed it was her. She found her father on social media and sent him a message, overflowing with emotion. But days passed with no reply, and her hope began to fade. Ilya urged her not to give up. They contacted the Belarusian police, and this time it worked. She reached her parents at last. Her mother wept and kissed her through the phone, promising to make up for the lost years. Soon after, Yulia visited her family. When she arrived, hugs and kisses poured from both sides. On one visit, she and her father returned to the station where it all began. He apologized for falling asleep that day, blaming himself for everything. They rebuilt their bond, and the pain slowly gave way to healing. Yulia also discovered she had a younger brother, Dmitry, along with her sister Nadia. She now had 2 sets of loving parents and a house full of siblings. She considered herself the luckiest woman alive. Today, Yulia lives in Ryazan with her husband and daughter, Kristina. She visits both families regularly, cherishing the love she once feared she'd lost forever. Her story not only reunited her with her past, but inspired her foster parents to resume the search for their own missing daughter, hoping she too would find her way home, just like Yulia did.